Hello everyone, my name is Patrick Bagus Yuga Perdana and I'm a semester 4 mechatronics engineering student at Swiss German University. Today, I'll be presenting and talking about my opinions on the current Indonesian response to the coronavirus or the COVID-19 pandemic. So the coronavirus or the COVID-19 disease has entered Indonesia as early as of March 2020. Since then, now there have been 34 provinces throughout the country that have been infected, and as of the date of this filming of 21st of May 2020, there have been a total of 20,000 cases throughout the country and 1,300 deaths. Although it is estimated that the number of deaths is much larger than that is recorded because there are a lot of people who died without even getting tested at all. This is due to the low testing rates in this country. Indonesia now have implemented a large-scale social restriction guidelines in 4 provinces and 26 cities since mid-March, but these restrictions can be criticized because of its vague nature and it is not exercised uniformly by the whole population and by the whole of the country. The large-scale social restriction that has been implemented for about 2 months in this country has had mixed reviews. These large-scale social restrictions includes restrictions in public transportation, restrictions in private transportation, restrictions in social gatherings, restrictions in uh, gatherings larger than 5 people, and also it restricts some of the sectors of the economy at which are able to run and which has to work from home. This has not been implemented uniformly throughout the country, though, and has created confusion as to how these rules are enforced. Most people in Indonesia, though, regard and consider these rules as just something that is unimportant, much less life saving. Hence, there are still a lot of people who are out of the house for things that are deemed as unnecessary and dangerous to public health. They do not yet fully comprehend or understand the dangers associated with this virus and so take this virus very lightly. People who are educated, people who do understand the risk of this virus, do stay at home, but they are vastly outnumbered by the people who are uneducated or who just simply do not care about this virus. We are very social people as Indonesians, and we have a high importance on social interactions. Therefore, staying at home, inside our house by ourselves, is deemed as un-Indonesian. And it is very difficult to discipline Indonesians because we are uh, very sociable. We feel that if our way of life is disturbed, why should we follow these rules? The Indonesians people, they find it very difficult to by these social restrictions. This combined with the loosely enforced enforcement of these rules by the police and authorities gives Indonesians a sense that social restriction guidelines is just a trend and it will pass. Another reason why Indonesians find it difficult to obey the government's actions and the government's guidelines is because of economic factors. 70% of the Indonesian economy still works in the informal sector. Therefore, they do not have access to healthcare benefits, they do not have access to social benefits, they do not have access to job security and other basic labor rights that help workers in this time of need. Most of these jobs also require face-to-face interaction, such as tukang sayur, a vegetable reseller, or a tukang bakso, a meatball soup reseller, or an ojek, which is a motorcycle taxi. And these people depend on these jobs for their income, for their basic living income. So without these jobs, they cannot eat, they cannot pay rent, and they will probably die of hunger. So a lot of these people see that dying from coronavirus might not be a certainty, but they see that dying from hunger is definitely a certainty if they don't work. And so these are difficult choices that the lower class have to face, whether they have to choose whether they will die from the virus or that they will die from hunger. The government have spent and allocated around 10.3 trillion rupiahs for the virus, but this is vastly insufficient to cover all the people who needs help throughout these times. And to conclude this presentation, my final thoughts is that the response from Indonesia, particularly the Indonesian government, have been poor and below standard. The Ministry of Health and the government are just playing catch up now with this virus and have no long term plan on how to deal with this virus and how to keep the economy running in this new normal. So, the testing numbers are also much lower than what is required to control this pandemic and are far too low for a country that has 263 million people. Mitigation methods such as large scale restriction measures have also been ineffective because people are not disciplined in following them. There has to be stricter measures that is enforced everywhere throughout Indonesia, and there has to be long-term planning on how we can get back to our feet for the future of this country. I still believe that Indonesia can get through this through the power of gotong royong, which means carrying each other's burdens. And I think when we care more about other people's importance far greater than ourselves, that's when we can overcome this virus. Thank you for listening to my presentation. I hope it's informative. I hope it was fun. And I wish you all a happy and good afternoon. Thank you. Stay safe and stay healthy, everyone.